I'm always reading poems, and I like to read poems because I believe that the poetry is a wonderful source for any composer. Because, and I'm looking for my structural formulas generally to poetry, and I find the poetry's structures catalog very rich and very influential for a composer. And by chance, I find first the Samuel Beckett's Roundelay, and after I discovered May I Walk, and I say then, they can be together in a piece, because both are about somehow a circular, ritualistic movements, as a metaphor, of course, but then Roundelay and May I Walk, and I say to myself, then you need another poem, and I asked my friends, then I have these two poems, and I want to make a format which contains 3 poems. Find me the last one, and hopefully a friend of mine, a very good poet, and sent me some 20 poems, and I discovered the Cummings, Maggie, Millie, Molly and Maid's an amazing poem, and it really fits unbelievably. In a moment I convinced myself then, okay, you can make that, and I began to compose the piece, and it worked very easy and practically. Yes, I have 4 basic methodology that I'm using in my compositions. The first one is to examine the poetry. Even I'm writing only in instrumental music, then I'm looking to the structural properties of poetry, and I'm trying to get something and adapt it to the instrumental music. But the first is to look into the poetry. I'm considering poetry as a music. And the second is the idea of fake folklore. Fake folklore means, or fake lore, means you are creating some music inspired from the folk music of somewhere, some country, but actually everything's imaginary. There is no country like that. That's an imaginary folklore. I'm trying to create an imaginary tradition, and I'm creating the musical rules and musical tradition of that imaginary land. That means fake lore, or some American scientists say fake lore, some European scientists say pseudo-folk or fake folk. And this is the second. And the third is just the tradition. I'm closely attached to the tradition of classical music, and I'm considering myself as a contemporary classical music composer, but classical music composer at the end. And I'm using all the techniques. And for the last, I'm using the music of speech. Then I'm listening all the people speaking as I'm listening a music piece. Then when you're talking, I'm coding, I'm recording your voice as a musical phenomena. Then I'm trying to hear melodies and articulations and some spatial dynamic flow of the speech melodies. The speech music is important. I'm seriously making transcriptions of speech of normal, widely spoken languages or some endangered languages, because endangered languages are more interesting musically. And I'm trying to take some melodic patterns from the speech, and I'm mixing all these knowledge and related experiences, and I'm trying to write my pieces. But of course, every project is something individual and dependent from the others. And in this project, in the Yirdolap, I had 3 poems, and I had 3 female vocals and an ensemble without percussion. It's important, without percussion. I'm generally writing for ensembles with percussion, and every composition is another problematics, and you have to solve these problematics separately from all of your work. In that music, I used partly the tonality, because we are working with young singers, but I also used so much microtonal, fake authentic modes, and differently from my previous works, it's more rhythmic, and you feel the pulse and almost every moment. Then I try to keep the feeling of the pulse. Yes, this is the pulse, and yes, that is. Let's see what will happen then. It affects, and it's important, and it's good, and I think there are many composers work like that, because a professional composer has to work with any material. Then, if you have 3 young female vocals, you have to find a clever and aesthetic solution to how you will create some atmosphere, interesting atmosphere. And I decided to 3 young singers means 3 possibly non-vibrato sound, and pure non-vibrato sound for me. Then what can I do with 3 very young, fragile voices? And these poems are very, very appropriate for. It's okay for this kind of sound, I think. Then because May I Walk is an anonymous Indian poem, and it's a very pure, very simple, and very delicate poem. And the second one is a something like play. The round play is a cryptological poem. Then it's like a child game, and this last one is Maggie, Millie, Molly, and May went down to the beach to play one day. It's, I think that, and I say that for 3 young female voices, it's the best option to use. Yes, 3 female voices, 3 young female voices for that. And I structured everything on their voices. Very simple, not so complex contrapunctually. I didn't make so much contrapunctually complex things. Then I tried to be simple as if like a small choral, and they sing generally simultaneously in the work. Yes, and I think that to be a professional, you have to find a formula with your material. Selecting your material is, of course, luxury. Then you can select, I want 5 singers, I want 5 trumpets. For mid frequencies, I want more instruments here. Okay, but it's if you're a professional, you have to find a solution. That's the history of classical music, I think. I know the repertoire of young singers because I worked as an repetiteur, accompanist for so many times, for years with young singers, and in their repertoire, generally, the antique arias, maybe Schubert leads, maybe some Brahms, but probably not Debussy, not Ravel, for the first 2 or 3 years, I don't know. Then I don't do repertoire. Then the repertoire of young singers in conservatories are based on the pieces, then Italian type function, harmony. There are no model pieces, modality-based pieces in their repertoire, and there are of course no any repertoire containing microtonal pitches. Then the most important part is the microtonal usages while singing, because if any singer can sing correctly the microtonal pitches, I believe that they will be better in the well-tempered music also. Their intonation will be better. Then in my music there is some microtones, but not so much in the part of singers, but in the ensemble they will be connected and together with these chords that's containing microtonal pitches. Then I think that's an important experience for them to using microtones, because for making microtones they have to change their posture, their position that they are familiar with. They have to find some solutions for making some to make a bit higher, to raise a bit the frequency. They have to change the mouth position like that. I think that technically they will learn some interesting things. And the conductor, the young conductor, is a nice guy. He knows what he's doing, but of course, as a young conductor, he's not familiar maybe, but some extended instrumental techniques. Then each composer writes these extended techniques differently. That's also a difficulty. Probably young conductors can see the techniques in some partitions, but when they are looking to another partition, they will see the same effect with other symbols and other methodology, notational methodology. And in my partition in Yirdolap, there are approximately between 15 and 20 extended techniques. I'm so curious, and probably in the rehearsal they would find together some aesthetical solutions about these, how to use in the context these extended techniques. And I think that will be a good experience for the young conductor also. Oh, it's an amazing place. It's amazing. I'm since 2 years I'm in Berlin. I like Berlin so much. But for a composer, this calmness, this peaceful area is amazing. That from the moment I came here, I'm feeling myself so peaceful, and this evening I will stay here, and probably around 9 or 10 o'clock I will begin to compose here. Probably I will hear the sound of these strange birds. I will listen to the sound of the strange wind, and I will look to the seaside here, and these are things that I like so much. Then, as a composer, I like calmness. Opposite to many of my friends, they like to be in the moment of Berlin. I like also, but yes, I'm feeling myself like I'm in a Teil. It's an amazing place. Yes, it's very interesting. Maybe boring for you, I don't know, but it's so interesting for me. It's amazing for me.